Hi everyone. Basically sitting tying some small duns, CDC duns, these ones here. Now they're on the water at the moment. There's quite a lot of small stuff this time of the year, especially in July. Things that can be quite tough. These are not sparse flies, like, but they're small anyway. But they'd fish well for me. Different colours. This is a kind of blue-winged olive. It's a colour combination. Just made very easy. Now the CDC I'm using is dyed. There's stuff I've dyed myself. It's basically a domestic duck CDC, which is white, which I bought in my bulk bag many years ago. And it basically, online, I bought it online from China, believe it or not. And it's a kind of risk sometimes buying from countries like, I'm not saying China's bad, like, but it's a far away, and you're not sure what you're going to get sometimes. And basically, if you, just to give you an idea, I've got a natural Cdc Feather, which is this one. A lot more fibre. Basically, fibres are, there's no broken fibre tips. They're usually quite solid. And then you get a domestic. I don't know if you can see that. Very much sparse, a lot more sparser. Though it's still a good fibre, it's just it's much sparser. And you have to compensate by using, whereas in a fly this size I could probably use 2 of these. In a fly, domestic duck, I'd probably need about 4. Now the fly I'm going to be tying is, I say, this small fly here, a small dun, small blue-winged olive, as I call it, because it does represent the blue-winged olive. Materials, first obviously I'll start with the hook. The hook I'm using, there are a couple of hooks I like, and small flies I like using the Ultimate Dry, and this one from Full & Mill. It's a size 20. As you can see, it's got this nice bend there, nice point that holds extremely well. Another hook I like is the one in the vise at the moment, is this one here. Now this is the 2487 BL, being barbless BL, and as you can see in the description, it says floating nymph, shrimp, caddis, pupa, blah blah. So basically it's a hook that you could tie whatever you like on it, and I have tied basically all these flies on these, mainly dries and mergers. And it works out, and me and B, I've tied some small midge pupa even on it. But it's a great wee hook, it's strong, and it outlasts the materials, and it holds extremely well, and you can land decent sized fish on it without worrying about the bend kind of opening out, so that's why I like it as well. Now thread I'm going to be using, I'm using a uni thread, in this case an 8/0 and chartreuse, which is really bright. I just find sometimes, especially for grayling, they do like a bit of shine or something like this, even silly colours like pink and that, where there's no pink there, but they just seem to attract them, and it's as much the same, even the trout like it, but I like to use this chartreuse. Mainly you're going to see it in the head, that's the only place you're going to actually see it. But anyway, I'm going to run the wax through it, get it started. Basically I like to come short, just slightly by about 1 mil from the eye, and then I come down about halfway along what I would class as the shank, and then come back up halfway. In that position, that will give you the base of the area where you want to tie your wing in. Now what I've done here, I've got 4 feathers I've selected. These, I say, these are the domestic. And now the colour, believe it or not, there's actually a couple of dyes used. A tiny bit of cinnamon, which I put in first. Now cinnamon gives basically a tiny bit of the brown that you, some of these colours, if you look at the natural feather, I don't know if you can see it there, but you've got a kind of, some of the feathers you do get a sort of off brown like colour of cinnamon, which I try and copy. And you can see, look at the stem there, and you've got to remember this was white. So I allow the dye to take, and then I add a tiny bit of black, believe it or not, and that, just a tiny bit, and that there then gives me this grey colour. So I'm trying to copy a natural colour, but it works really well. And these are vineyard dies that I use. So basically what we're going to do is just line up the ends, the tips, basically pull them in, pull it all in. Now you're looking for a length, a wing length, round about the hook. So what I do is I come round with a loose turn and I lightly pull it in to the length that I like. You should probably around about there. A couple of turns just to make sure it's not going to move, one in behind and one in front. Just check, just see things before, because you can always go back at this point. There's plenty of fibre there. Now you can split it, and I'll show you how to do that. So we evenly split the fibre, and looking from the top down, which I have to do to see it and get the idea of the split. Just take your time. Now you can see there I've made an even split of fibre, hopefully. And then it's just a simple figure eight. So from in front of the wing, I go towards the back, and down, and then I hold the wing on your side, or the camera side, and then do a turn coming from the back to the front, lifting the wing up. Now I'm still not tightened up, now they're tightened up, and then I put a turn in front to lock that in. And that there just spreads the fibre, as you can see. Now what we need to do now is cut the Cdc feathers at the back. So we just come in from the back. I'm using a fine pair of scissors here. Practically a straight cut with depending on the angle you want, but I want a tapered cut, so I bring the Cdc feathers down in a slight angle, like say 45 degrees, and then trim. Now if you make a mess of it, you can just check, see how it's going to sit. Now the way to check really is to wind the thread onto it first, just to see how it's going to taper down. And if it's going to be too much of a step, then you stop. Now that looks fine, it's tapering onto the shank nicely. Then what I do is, there's obviously the original Croc de Leon, but there's also other companies that have an idea of what Croc de Leon is. And this one here is from Hairline, as you can see. It's called a light, if you can see it there, a light speckled. And that's the feather, as you can see it there. Now you're looking round about, depends, and this here I've got about 4 fibres. To make sure they're lined up at the tip. You can see they're lined up, it's quite easy to line these fibres up. There's your tail length there, you can see the length that you want. So you're looking, I would say, at least the hook length, just a tiny bit more. So you hold that in your finger and thumb. You come down, round with a turn. And I usually automatically come underneath with turn the thread and then pull towards the eye, but slightly away from me, and then lock it in. Again, you can always go back here if you're not happy with the way the tail's sitting. That looks okay. And then we can trim this away. The waist, the full length of the body. Now for the body I'm using a Cdc feather, and this one here, it's one of the small feathers. You can see that. Again, it's the dyed. In this case, it's dyed a dark olive. Though I've basically it's towards the darkish side, but that green, the green in the stem is there is the colour I'm wanting. So basically, then what I do is I hold, obviously, the base of the feather, and then I take that turn up, just slightly up onto the hook with a single turn of thread, and then come in with a turn. Basically takes it away from the tail, and we pull it in, and then we wind up. Take our thread all the way to the front, right in front of the wing. Just check things are sitting fine. And then we just use this like a herald. We just wind up, and it will spread out. We do a turn in front. Now as I come round here, I basically hold the wing. But what I do is, well, I pinch the hook and change. I'm basically going to catch a hold of the tip, let it go, and catch again. So I can get around the thread. And then we come in with normal turns, 3 or 4 turns. And then a decent, fine tip pair of scissors, come in, trim away, I always like to make sure I have a bit of wax here. You don't always get the neatest head when you're working like this. Now I just use the thread there to draw back that fibre. And then there we are. Now you can brighten the head up a wee bit, or you can leave it the way it is. A wee bit of varnish on my thread. And then I'm going to whip finish. 1, 2, 3. Then I put my nail inside of the eye, pull, tighten it up, and then trim away my thread. And there we are. See how it looks? It looks fine. I've got a wee fibre sitting down at the back of the body, so I can come in and trim that away. Now leave it at that, that's fine, that's fine. Nice and fine. Looks good. Happy with that. Gives me a great done, like small fly, very soft. Grayling love these type of flies. So does brown trout, but when the water being warm and low, grayling are more likely to rise, to be honest with you, just now. So that's basically what we're catching a lot of. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And that there is basically a wee blue winged olive, a B.W.O as they would call it. Great wee design, a great wee style. You just change colours, there's lots of patterns out there you could use and tie this way. So again, thank you for watching. Until next time,